Boom! Yes folks, Hume here again. In this video we're going to do a past paper. We're going to do a past paper on constructions. This is a question that I love. I love the question. Nice question, right? This is the constructions question from the January 2020 maths, right? CSEC. Good. I will put this question in the hard questions category in terms of tricky questions that we do from time to time, and of course it will also be in the constructions category. So you will be able to find this video in two places, right? In the places where we have them. So what I'm going to do is bring the question kind of close up, right up in your face then, so to speak, right? So basically what happened is that in 2020 they actually gave us a diagram. They didn't really ask us to do a whole set of constructions. They just gave us a diagram to work with, and we had to work with that, right? So you see the diagram. Hopefully, as you're looking at this video, you would have with you a copy of the January 2020 past paper. If not, you could try and follow as best as you could. This is the diagram, and what I will do, I have the actual diagram on the board here as well. So I'm going to zoom in here now. So while I am reading the question, you'll be able to see it, and then what I will go through the question myself, and I will talk it through while I'm going through it. Good. So we're gonna do a little zooming in here now. Let us see. We zoom in right up in your face. Right. We bring the question right up. We zoom in as close as we could. We get all the space that we need to get on this particular question. Alright, so I'm going to read the question. You see the diagram here? Boom. Alright, I'm going to read the question. I trust that you could see the writing here, but even if you can't, listen to what I am reading and you'll be able to follow. So, question 3B in January 2020. A sports club owns a field PQRS, right? PQRS. Good. In the shape of a quadrilateral. A scale diagram of this field is shown below. 1 centimeter represents 10 meters. In the following parts, show all the construction lines. And we're going. The field is to be divided with a fence from P to the side RS. Right? I will go on the diagram just now. We just read it. From P to the side RS, so that different sports can be played at the same time. Each point on the fence is the same distance from PQ as from PS. Using a straight edge and compasses only, construct the line representing the fence. 2. That's one mark. And the second part, write down the length of this fence in meters. That's another one mark. Right. So, in this question, a few minor details that we notice. Now, normally, in my teaching generally, and you would have seen it in my videos if you would have been following the construction videos, I normally advise people to adopt an anti-clockwise lettering convention. So I would go PQRS, right? That is what we would do if we actually construct it, if we have to construct it from scratch. But in this case, we actually have the diagram given to us. So if they give you the diagram before, then the person giving you the diagram has total latitude in terms of how they letter it. What you have to do as the person doing the question is you now have to respond to what they give you and work it from there. So we have PQRS, they did the lettering clockwise, no problem. Right? Don't mind taking all this time and effort to mention these small details. The small details are what make the big difference. Good. So the next thing we notice is that they say a scale diagram of this field is shown below. And they give you the scale. 1 centimeter represents 10 meters. Usually, 9 times out of 10 in these questions, they will tell you the diagram not drawn to scale. That is, if they give you a diagram. Usually when they give you a diagram in these exams, they tell you the diagram is not drawn to scale. And unless specifically told that the diagram is a scale diagram, I would strongly advise people to assume that the diagram is not drawn to scale. So in other words, in this question, if they had not given us this sentence here, where they specifically and explicitly said that a scale diagram of this field is shown below, and then they went on to actually give you the scale, what we would have had to do, we would have had to assume that the diagram was not drawn to scale. So seeing that they actually took the effort, went to the length of telling us that the diagram is drawn to scale, well, then we know that the diagram is drawn to scale. And it means, therefore, that we will have to use that at some point later on in the question. So let me go to the question now. This is the nice part of the question. Right? Let me pick up the pencil one time. Right? So the nice part of the question says, the field is to be divided with a fence from P, look P right here, to the side RS. RS here. Alright? So that different sports can be played at the same time. No problem? So far, so good. Each point on the fence is the same distance from PQ as from PS. Right. And then in part 1, they say using a straight edge and compasses only, construct the line representing the fence. Now, I really like this diagram, you know, because they kind of play with your head here, so to speak. Because what a lot of students would have done, a few of my students did it, and I am sure that many other students in all parts of the West Indies, in all parts of the Caribbean, did the same thing as well. They simply draw a line from P to R, end of discussion. Some did not even bother to go through the pretense of using a compass. To say, well, you draw an arc somewhere so you could try to pretend that you use the compass. Never mind that the person examining the paper would know that you're just trying to scam them. Right? But some students just draw a line. They just draw a line from P to R because it's looking kind of halfish, right? Because they say the same distance from PQ as from PS. So that implies some kind of half something, half something. So P to R, boom. And I watch it and I smile, right? Because what happens there is that the person would have missed totally the Q in this line here, where they would have said each point on the fence is the same distance from PQ as from PS. So in other words, wherever this fence happens to be, at any point along this fence, the distance from PQ will be the same as the distance from PS. And let me take this opportunity now to underscore an underlying assumption here. Let me just take a point at random, right? Let me assume, for argument's sake, that this point was on the fence from P to RS. When they talk about it being the same distance from PQ as it is from PS, the distance that they're referring to is not just not just any arbitrary distance, right? We could take any arbitrary distance if we want, right? The distance they're referring to is a very specific distance. That distance is the perpendicular distance, right? So the perpendicular distance is what they're referring to, which means that whatever measurement you take from the point, if you draw a line from the point to PS, that's supposed to be a right angle. And if you draw a line from the point to PQ, you're supposed to get a right angle there as well, right? So that is an underlying assumption which they didn't really make clear, but this is one of those cases where they put the question down in such a way that if your understanding of the topic is not sufficiently deep, you're almost guaranteed to not get the correct answer. And we have seen with the CSEC syllabus in recent years, with the CSEC exam questions, that they are doing that with increasing frequency. Nothing is wrong with that. All it means is that the students have to prepare with a little more, what they were looking for, Not just diligence, but you have to prepare yourself to think, right? Doing 50 past papers is one thing. But if you do 50 past papers and you're not prepared to think on your own in the exam, then there will always be a question somewhere that would make you having done 50 past papers almost null and void. So again, I want to take the opportunity to encourage people to think. So we're going. Now, what do they mean when they say that each point on the fence is the same distance from PQ as from PS? Right? The only way you will get that is if you bisect this angle here. Right? So basically what you're looking for is the bisection of this angle QPS. If you split this angle in half, any point along this line would be equidistant from PQ and PS. Again, notice the use of specific mathematical vocabulary, right? Equidistant. You're almost sure to meet that somewhere, somehow, in maths and maybe in other areas in life too. All right. So what we have to do now is to bisect this angle here, and we know how to do that. Good. So you're rubbing off this guy here now. All right. And we're going to start the bisection. Now, because we just bisecting the angle, we don't have to measure anything on the compass. Right? What we do is we stick the point of the compass at P. Right? So when they say using a straight edge and compasses only, right? You draw a little arc there. Right? Remember, this compass is supposed to be stiff. Right? So we don't have any kind of movement while you're making a sketch. Right? So there is an arc there. This arc covers the entire angle QPS, and the intersection of the arc with the line PQ and the intersection of the arc with the line PS. Those are the 2 points that we'll be using to bisect the angle. So we open the compass out a little bit. Right? Remember, we're using the space now, and you put the point down on the line. Alright, open it out a little bit. Arc, one arc there, and then you come on this side, and you make another arc here. Alright. Of course, when you're drawing this point with this point of intersection here, that is what will give you the bisection of the angle. So we bring the ruler now, and we get it here, and we get it here. Let me see, we get it here, and we get it here, and we bisect. Alright, so that there is the line from the point P to the fence. Alright, if you wanted, you could have drawn the whole line straight through until the point of intersection, just to make sure. But this is the fence here. Right? So yes, I would suggest that you draw this line coming all the way out, because you want to show the examiner that having drawn these two arcs here, you're now going to join this point, this vertex, straight onto this point of intersection of the two arcs here, and then of course the actual fence will be from here to here. So the fence, we could actually give this point a random letter, and we call it let me see, elemental P Q R S. Let me call it T. Right? Let me call it point T, just for the sake of argument. Right? He didn't give the point a name, but we given the point the name T. So in other words, the fence is from P to T. This is not this. Right? So, I mean, I really enjoy this question, you know. I really enjoy this question, because they at least, it's almost as if they're setting people up to draw the line from here to here, which I am sure a lot of students did, and they probably will come out of the room thinking it was correct too. But you bisect the angle, and this is the fence here from the point P to the side RS. Good? And if you care to take any point along this line and construct a perpendicular or measure it, you can measure it with a protractor if you want. Measure a 90-degree angle from this any point. Let me take a random point. Take a random point here. So this, let me take the point a little higher up just to make it a little more explicit. If I measure this distance here, right, perpendicular distance, and I measure this distance here, right, this distance is supposed to be equal to this distance. That is what they meant when they said, let me see, when they said that each point on the fence is the same distance from PQ as from PS. That is what they want. That's what they want, right? So don't mind my little sketch might be a little off in terms of the angles, but you get the point that we're trying to make, right? Of course, in doing this question, the student would not have had to go through all of this. This is just me taking this as a teaching moment. Good? All right, so the next part, so all of this is just for 1 mark, eh? 1 mark. And this is one of those questions where even though the actual work in executing the thing is not a whole lot, you don't have to do 3 and 4 and 5 constructions. Basically, you draw an arc, whoosh, whoosh, and that's it. But to get to understanding that that is what you have to do, that is the catch. Strangely enough, you actually have a situation here where if for some reason you wasn't sure, you may, and I'm using the word may very guardedly here now, may have wanted to take the step of just moving past this and going on, because you only have 2 marks allocated for this whole section. 1 mark here and 1 mark here. Okay? Usually the constructions part of the question could carry 3 to 4 to 5, in some cases even 6 marks. Alright? But we looking to gather the small marks too, because the small marks do in fact add up. Now they wanted to write down the length of the fence in meters. Now, how do we write down the length of the fence in meters, given that we on a sheet of paper that we could best measure in centimeters? Instead of meters here, right? We go back to the scale. They said a scale diagram of this field is shown below, where 1 centimeter represents 10 meters. So in other words, you bring in your ruler now and measuring the length of this line, PT. And whatever length you get there in centimeters, you multiply by 10, and that would be the length in meters. So we bring the ruler. You put the little thing there, and we measure. Right? This, I believe, would have been 7.123. I get in 7.2 centimeters. Right? 7.2 centimeters. So if I get 7.2 centimeters here, then 7.2 by 10 would be 72 meters. Right? And that there is the answer. That is all it is for this question here. But even though it was just 2 marks, 2 steps, quick steps, but if you didn't understand it, you miss out 2 marks there. 2 valuable marks, I might add, because every single mark on an exam is valuable. Good? So, in doing this question, I hope that we are realizing that we have to be prepared to think. Yes, by all means, do your 112 past papers, right? But do that on the understanding that when you go in the exam room, it doesn't take away the responsibility to think in the process. Alright, so that is it for now. I hope that this video has been of use to you. or to somebody else, right? So spread the word and look out for more videos coming.